When you're working with cloud resources in AWS, security is a top priority. AWS provides a range of tools and services to help you secure your resources, including security permissions and policies that allow you to control who can access your resources and what they can do with them. Security permissions and policies in AWS allow you to define fine-grained access control for your resources. This means that you can grant or revoke permissions at a very granular level and ensure that only authorized users or applications can have access to your resources. So in this particular demonstration, we're going to walk through some of the steps of how to set the appropriate permissions to a user. We're going to use a user whose primary job is to do AWS migration services. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is add a user. So we'll go right here. Now we're just going to name this migration user 123. Click next. Now, if you read through these permission sets, you'll see that there's different options. We can either add a user to the group, which states that we will add a user to an existing group, or create a new group. So we recommend using groups to manage user permissions by job function. And that's what we're going to do in this particular example, but let's read the other options as well. So we see we have copy permissions. So we're going to copy all group memberships, attached, managed policies, and inline policies from an existing user. We're not going to do that one. Or we can attach policies directly. Now in this example, we're only going to add the user to a particular group, but if you wanted to do this, you can, but it's really not recommended. And if you read that throughout this particular description, you'll see that. So it says attach and manage policy directly to a user. As best practice, we recommend attaching policies to a group instead, then add the user to the appropriate group. So again, it verifies what we were going to do initially. So we're going to create a group called migration. All right. Now, once we create this group, next thing we're going to have to do is create a policy that's associated with it. So go ahead, create a policy here. And we're going to go through and use the visual editor. It's a lot easier than using the JSON, especially for beginners. Now, JSON, of course, is a way to transmit information over the internet. And that's what Amazon actually reads when you have all these different objects and going through permission sets. But we're going to use the visual editor instead because it's a lot user-friendly using the graphical user interface. Okay, so we're going to choose the service that we're looking for. I'm going to type in migration. And great thing about Amazon is it already has a lot of these different services and policies that are specific to a certain type of actions that we want to take. So we're just going to click the Migration Hub orchestration for this one. Okay. Now, as far as the actions, you can get very specific and granular with it, but we're just going to go ahead and give it all access. Okay, so we're going to be able to list, read, tag, write, etc. Now, for the particular resources that we're looking for, we're going to do all resources. And again, if you're actually in an organization, you're going to tailor it to specific services and resources that you have. But for the sake of example, we're going to go ahead and click all resources for all these examples. Okay, next we have tagging. We're going to skip this part. We're going to review this. Just going to call it migration policy. Okay, we're going to skip the description for now. Scroll down here, create the policy. All right, perfect. The policy has been created. So we can exit out of this. We're going to search it now. Migration. Get up this way. All right, here we go. Create the user group. Perfect. So that was a quick way to add the migration policy that we just quote unquote customized. And we created a group named migration. So we're going to add a user to this particular group. Click next. Review and create. So we're not going to really focus on the console. They don't really need that type of access at this moment. No password, etc. So we're just going to go through, go ahead and create this user. All right. So we see we successfully created a user. So we're going to sum up this demonstration. Again, we just want to go through and get basic familiarization on how to create a user, attach specific policies for specific actions that we want that user to use within our AWS system.